How many of you love to do applique? Well, don't all rush at once. Is it the little tiny pieces that drive you completely crazy? Okay. My good friend Nancy Prince, is going to hold up this piece. Now, this is just a cheater cloth, Baltimore album block. Now, if you looked at this, you'd say, oh my God, I can never do that. It's going to drive me crazy. Right? Because of those little tiny pieces, little tiny circles. Well, I've got a magic cure for that. That will not hurt you at all. It will make it easy applique. It's called the use of ultra suede. Now, how many of you have heard of ultra suede? Right? Okay, some of you might even have, an ultra suede mini skirt or some such thing. But ultra suede is absolutely wonderful. Here's a little sample pack that I just happen to have for sale outside. But I really like to use ultra suede because it is a synthetic material or synthetic product. You can raw edge cut it and then sew it. You do not have to turn under the edges at all. Do you hear me? Yeah. Raw edge cut and sew. If you can cut with tiny, wonderful scissors, and if you haven't tried these Karen Buckley scissors, you need to. Anyways, you find some shapes that you would like. They can be intricate. They can be petals. And we're going to, we just cut them out. Now let's just show them this one. Okay. This quilt is the Vermont block from my new book, America's Quilted Garden. All of the leaves on the clover are made from ultra suede, raw edge cut and sew. And then I just simply gild the lily afterwards and do a little bit embroidery around it. Now that makes sewing leaves painless, especially when you have a forest of leaves to sew.
How are you sewing them?
You sew them down with needle and thread, and
gee, what a novel idea.
I like to use a milliner's straw needle, size number 9. You don't have to buy the fancy leather needles that some people with ultra suede say you have to use at $1 or $2 a needle. The number 9 milliner's needle will work very nicely. I like to use fine thread. I love the Masterpiece series, Superior Threads. Buy the donut. You got all the colors you need. You're sewing through the side of the ultra suede. You're not sewing up through the middle of it. So just catching the edge. And your stitches are hidden. So that's the beauty of this technique. This other block that Nancy's going to now show you is the Maryland block. She's just having too much fun. You see all these petals on this Black-Eyed Susan. Now, if you had to needle turn those, even I would drive, it would just be too much. You would lose interest. But sitting there by your sofa, you put down your template, and you want to, first of all, let me say, you have to decide which is the front and the back, the right side or the wrong side of your ultra suede. One side is flat and one side is fuzzy. One side is a little bit darker, one side is a little bit lighter. Traditionally, we use the fuzzy, brighter side. But if you like the darker flat, hey, it's your piece. You go with what you want. So then you turn it over. Once you decide that this is the front, you turn it over, take your template, mark them conservatively, one right after the other. I like to use a permanent marker. But if you didn't have a permanent marker and you just simply had a ballpoint pen, fine, you can use that. But when it comes time to cut out, if you're using the ballpoint pen, you want to cut on the inside. You want to leave the pen ink on the excess ultra suede because it might bleed into your fabric. Okay, but if you're using the permanent pen, you can cut right on the line. All right, so we cut this out, and then you put an X so that you know which is the back. Because if you have a whole bowl full of these petals and you pick one up, You're not going to sit there for each one, you fuzzy or smooth, you know, so it will drive you crazy. I use a glue stick to anchor, just a dab on, to anchor it onto my background fabric. And then I start stitching. And pretty soon you are all done. And then I like to finish it off with some embroidery because it just finishes the edge. It looks like you did something. You know, like you did a little bit of work. And you don't have to put your stitches too terribly close to hold these down, just enough to anchor them down. And then that little bit of embroidery, one strand, two strands, single outline stitch, and you're fine. Now look at these intricate bud cases. To do those with hand needle turn would drive you crazy. You know, and if you did them with fuse, yeah, you could do them, but then you still have to sew around them and everything. This ultra suede is like dying and going to heaven. Circles. I made large grapes, but you can use sticker dots. So whatever size sticker dot you can find, how small you can go, and then sitting there cutting them out, you can do it. That's how easy it is. Leaves, branches, all kinds of things. Really good fun. How else do you work this? Where's my little paper here? Just a second. Okay. All right, so we've marked it, we've stitched it. The one thing that you don't want to do is use pins. You do not put pins through your ultra suede, because then you're going to have a new look to it. You're going to have little Swiss cheese holes, because it will not close up. Okay, do you have any questions? I really enjoy using this product. It makes a complicated applique piece very easy and lots of fun to do. As I said, the final, gilding the lily, with that little bit of embroidery is just relaxing. It just gets you back in touch with more handwork. No questions?
Is there a supply for ultra suede on the internet that you know of?
It's, yes, and you have to buy half a yard
Yeah,
per color at $48 a yard. All right? And that's the problem. That's the problem. And at one point, I had ordered like, 10 or 12 half yards. That's a good amount of money. And finally, I said, I needed a few more colors. Can I have a third of a yard? She says, no, half yard. So anyways, but we do have these wonderful assortment packs. Anyways, it's enough to get you started. And any applique piece that you look, yes?
Is it washable?
Yes, it is. It is. It is just not dryable because it's a synthetic polyester type material, so it could like shrivel up on the dryer. But yes, it's quite washable.
You can't iron it.
Well, it's not going to get wrinkled, so why would you iron it?
What if you used it with fabric?
Wait a minute, I didn't hear. It's,
Right, if you used it with fabric, if you were like using it for buds and using other fabrics with it.
I would turn it over and iron on the back. You can also cut out your templates out of freezer paper, and you can iron them just lightly on your ultra suede with the iron, so that you can just, not heavy hot, but just light touch warm to get your templates adhered to if you don't want to use any glue stick. But be very, test it. If it works, fine. If it shrivels up, the answer is no.
Do you use this in conjunction with regular cotton?
Oh yeah, all of these. Yeah, they're all. It isn't just pure ultra suede. It's a mixture of all my other fabrics. I just did not want to sew fabric petals, so I sewed ultra suede, and it also adds an extra texture and dimension, which is what you want to go for.